Huh, neat. Amnesia. What am I supposed to be doing again? Hello and welcome to Case by Case, the only video series to peak at the 4th time doing this. Today we look at the Lost Turnabout. Whilst this is a short case, I believe I can still make this video fun and informative enough to make sense on its own without combining it together with another case. Well, that and I have exams the day this video comes out, so I have to revise for those. Let's start with the story. Despite being the first case, it actually takes place after the second case, where Phoenix and Maya have come back from Courtroom, Maya's hometown. Phoenix then takes a murder case where victim Dustin Prince has been pushed off a ledge and her lover Maggie Bird is the accused. The other important thing to note is Phoenix being rather ignorant before the trial. He gets a nice whack on the head and has amnesia throughout the trial. Yeah, the idea of Phoenix having amnesia is dumb, but I can't help but feel at this point they were still trying to think of ways to introduce the player to the game without having the player to have played each previous game in the series. And to be honest, I don't think the two 3DS games do it much better, as with Dual Destinies, Phoenix is still there as a defense attorney, and in Spirit of Justice, the core system, while different, is still very similar to the Japan-America system, only adding some gimmicks and being 2.5 hours long. Jesus, I am not looking forward to that. About the Lost Turnabout though, I think the story, while stupid, does a fine enough job to introduce the player to Ace Attorney gameplay if they haven't played one of these games before. The characters this time are a lot fewer than last time, with Phoenix, the player character, acting different due to the amnesia, and the judge being his normal self. Prosecutor Payne returns, who I believe is supposed to be a more rookie but egotistical character who stitches up Phoenix well at some points. Dustin, our victim, is a police officer, which honestly does nothing for the case, he just kind of exists. I almost feel bad for him in the circumstances in which he dies. Maggie, the suspect, on the other hand, comes off as kind of annoying, but very involved for the case, for obvious reasons. I don't even think there was one line of grief towards her lover, something even Larry had in the first case. And from what I see, Gumshoe has more sympathy to Maggie than she does to Dustin. Speaking of Gumshoe, he's the case detective and provides testimony to help us solve the case. And I'm unsure why this hasn't been questioned, but why does Gumshoe seem to jump from prosecutor to prosecutor when it's convenient for the plot? However, Gumshoe is also known to be Edgeworth's detective. Just a thought. The last character of the case is the witness, Richard Wellington. Wellington is so full of himself, it's not even funny. It's like they look at one of Frank Sawit or Red Wyatt and said, well, they're really full of themselves, let's top that. And it didn't work. He comes across as too try-hard and absolute, when literally every other word he says is a lie. This may work for Red Wyatt or a Von Karma type, as the crimes they commit are so convoluted and their alibi is so tight that they almost cannot be guilty. But for Wellington, oh yeah, I was looking for a phone booth to call police, when there is literally one right in front of him. Maya is also here and she doesn't know Phoenix has amnesia, leading to some interesting dialogue. Moving on. One last point, where was Maggie during all of this? Why would she specifically be that far away from the incident to not notice what's going on? As this is a starter case, and what is the theme for the series, despite Spirit of Justice taking 2 hours, is that they don't have an investigation sequence, instead using their 20 to 40 minutes to teach the basics of gameplay where you can actually lose. I think that's fine, especially when it lowers case completion time, and as a follow-up from Rise from the Ashes, we do also get an abundance of art used to depict sequences. The courtroom this time feels a little simplified. As I prefaced earlier, the witness tells very obvious and outrageous lies, though this is expected for a beginner case, and the judge is still gaming here. I think this may be even simpler than the Larry Butts case, at least in terms of having absolute evidence to find the culprit. The Larry Butts trial at least had that aha moment, where Mia encourages you to think differently when the clock evidence doesn't go your way. For this case, the climax is a cutscene where Phoenix gets Maya to call him on the principle that the 2 phones he had were swapped and happened to be the same model that he owned, with him having the culprit's phone and the culprit having his phone. Overall, I just find the case too simplistic. The character's quite annoying, the premise stupid, and overall just not a great case. I refrain from calling the case bad just based on how they could have made it a better case, even with a lot of the fundamental flaws that the case had. And I enjoyed them using a lot of the images to show scenes, it adds a nice touch. With that said, this is bottom of the list so far. 1.5 out of 5 attorney badges. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate a subscription. It helps me out and shows whether you liked it or not, as well as there are the like and comment sections to provide feedback, and my socials if you want to see me say some dumb shit or click some circles. And with all that said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!